Trump's deportation blitz, a nation divided. Across America, a specter of fear has gripped immigrant communities. The cause? A series of sweeping raids, the largest deportation operation in American history. Orchestrated by the Trump administration, the operation signals a stark return to hardline immigration policies. Hundreds have already been deported. Thousands more await their fate, detained in makeshift processing centers. The administration, fulfilling a controversial campaign promise, defends the operation as a necessary measure to restore law and order. They argue that it targets criminals and those who pose a threat to national security. However, critics view it as a brutal assault on vulnerable populations, tearing families apart and instilling terror in communities. This operation marks a significant escalation in Trump's ongoing battle against illegal immigration. It builds upon a series of executive orders and policy changes enacted in his first weeks back in office. These changes include the reinstatement of the Remain in Mexico policy for asylum seekers. This policy forces those seeking asylum to remain in Mexico while their cases are processed in the U.S., a process that can take years. Trump also halted the asylum program for those fleeing authoritarian regimes in Central and South America. Citing national security concerns, he further authorized federal authorities to make arrests near schools and churches, places previously considered off-limits. The operation has reignited a fiery debate about immigration, a debate deeply intertwined with America's history and identity. It has also thrown a spotlight on the human cost of these policies, the families torn apart, and the dreams shattered. The nation stands divided, grappling with fundamental questions about its values, its laws, and its soul. The logistics of removal, a military operation. The scale of the deportation operation is unprecedented, requiring a massive logistical effort. The administration, facing a shortage of aircraft typically used for deportations, has turned to the might of the U.S. military. C-17, Globemaster III and C-130 Hercules aircraft, designed for troop and cargo transport, have been repurposed to shuttle detainees out of the country. The utilization of military planes in this manner is unusual, raising concerns about the militarization of immigration enforcement. It not only underscores the sheer volume of people being deported, but also injects a chilling new element into the process. Beyond military aircraft, the administration is reportedly considering activating the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, or CRAF. The CRAF, a program designed to utilize commercial aircraft for national security purposes, has been activated in the past for major military operations and humanitarian relief efforts. Its potential use in the deportation operation further illustrates the administration's determination to expedite removals, regardless of the cost or the optics. It also raises questions about the prioritization of resources and the potential disruption to commercial air travel. The operation's reliance on military and emergency resources highlights the administration's commitment to fulfilling Trump's campaign promise. It also underscores the logistical challenges inherent in such a large-scale operation. The use of these resources, however, has drawn criticism from those who argue that they are better suited for humanitarian aid or national defense, not for rounding up and deporting immigrants. Echoes of history, fear, and resistance in the face of deportation. The recent raids have evoked painful memories of America's troubled past, particularly for communities who have historically faced persecution and discrimination. The sight of families being separated, of children being torn from their parents' arms, has sparked outrage and fear. The echoes of past injustices, from the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II to the separation of families at the border during the previous Trump administration, resonate deeply. Resistance to the deportations has been swift and widespread. Civil rights organizations have filed lawsuits challenging the legality of the raids and the constitutionality of Trump's executive orders. They argue that the administration is violating the due process rights of immigrants and instilling a climate of fear. Lawyers have flocked to detention centers, offering pro bono legal assistance to those detained. They are working tirelessly to halt deportations and reunite families. In cities and towns across America, protests have erupted. People from all walks of life have taken to the streets, demanding an end to the raids and calling for a more humane approach to immigration. The protests reflect a growing movement for social justice in America, a movement fueled by the recognition of the country's history of oppression and the urgent need for change. A world watching international implications and uncertain futures. The impact of Trump's deportation blitz extends far beyond U.S. borders. The international community is watching closely, grappling with the implications for global migration patterns and diplomatic relations. Countries with large numbers of citizens living in the U.S., both legally and illegally, are particularly concerned. India, for instance, is home to the third largest population of undocumented immigrants in the U.S. The Indian government has expressed a willingness to accept deported Indian nationals, but only after their citizenship is verified. This process could prove lengthy and complicated, leaving many in limbo. The deportations have also strained relations with Mexico, the destination for many of those being removed. Mexican officials have criticized the Trump administration's approach, arguing that it places an unfair burden on their country. They have also raised concerns about the treatment of Mexican nationals detained in the U.S. The situation at the U.S.-Mexico border remains tense, a stark reminder of the complex challenges posed by migration and the need for international cooperation. As the deportations continue, the future of U.S. immigration policy remains uncertain. One thing is clear: the nation is at a crossroads. The choices made today will have profound consequences for generations to come, shaping the very fabric of American society. The world is watching, waiting to see if the United States will uphold its ideals of freedom, justice, and opportunity for all.